G'day and welcome to my comparison of these two small fixed blade knives. The knife at top of screen is the Benchmade Model 147 Nim Cub 2, and the knife at the bottom of screen is the Ontario RAT-3. There's plenty of reviews out there on both of these knives, which will go into a lot more detail than I probably will. What I thought was interesting is that for two knives that, to look at the spec sheet, have so much in common, they're actually quite different knives, and we'll discuss the commonalities and also the differences in the two knives, and just maybe try and decide which knife would suit you better if you're looking for this class of knife. I said they had a lot in common, and that really starts, I suppose, with the blade. Both these blades are identical length at 3.5 inches or 89 millimeters, and both are classed as drop point blades, although as you'll see the shape there is of course quite different. The overall length of the knives, quite close to each other, 7.8 inches or 196 millimeters for the Benchmade. The Ontario comes in slightly longer at 7.87 inches or 199 millimeters, so there's really not much in it. They're both flat ground blades. The Ontario is a full flat ground, which to me is a slight advantage. The Benchmade, on the other hand, is flat ground from around about that point there. What else do they have in common? They've got different varieties available out there. Both can be obtained in plain edge blades, such as we have here, or with partially serrated. On both of these knives, of course, as you would normally expect, the serrations are towards the back half of the blade. Also, they both come with plastic sheaths. Both are lightweight. The weight of the Benchmade, 3.1 ounces, incredibly light knife. 3.1 ounces or 87 grams for the knife. To compare that, the Ontario, a little bit heavier, 5 ounces for the knife, 147 or 143 grams. The knife and sheath, the Benchmade, comes in at 5.1 ounces, 144 grams. The Ontario, and I should caveat this weight by saying this is including the tech lock, which we'll come back to in more detail. The weight of that one is 7.9 ounces or 224 grams, so a little bit heavier. As mentioned, sheath material on both knives, we'll just roll them into shot. We'll pull these off to one side. This is the Ontario sheath, and this is the Benchmade sheath. Both plastic sheaths. Both offer excellent retention, and both offer various carrying options. We'll have a quick look at the Benchmade. You can carry it on a belt loop if you wish, but it's also very, very nicely configured to go on molly vests. It retains with a strap. Slides in here like so. It is ambidextrous, both sheaths are, but in different ways. We'll talk about that. Slides in there, and we've got a mil-spec fastener, which I really like if they've doubled the thickness here, so that covers that up. Apparently this sheath and this knife indeed were designed in cooperation with United States airborne troops, so it is, as they say, jump compatible. So I don't know if you're going parachuting, this is probably the knife for you. I don't do anything like that. Very lightweight sheath, plastic, and it's got a nice drain hole down the bottom here, and as mentioned, you could quite easily wear this upside down any way you wanted to. Good thing. The sheath on the Ontario, the retention system on this one is purely friction. It locks in like so. Really not going anywhere. Now, as mentioned, this one has got the tech lock on it. For those who aren't familiar with tech locks, great little system. This piece comes out, and then you can squeeze this together, and what happens here, it's adjustable. You can slide that up under your belt, so your belt will sit where my fingers are. You then simply snap that shut, so it's quickly removable off your belt. The way I have this one set up at the moment is for horizontal carry. This would sit to the left of my buckle to get hands on the knife, grab the knife, thumb against that ramp there, and pull the knife clear. Yeah, that's something worth mentioning. This one came with a tan sheath originally. Still is underneath. That's the original colour. It was the only one I could get. I didn't like it, so like anything, if you're not happy, modify it. I painted it black. But that is the tan sheath. The other thing this sheath came with, as well as the tech lock, this was originally mounted on it, is they call it a boot knife clip, and that mounts across like so. Now, you could probably also use that for belt mount. It's not anywhere near as secure as the tech lock, but it is supplied with both those options, so that's pretty good. Quality on both these knives, really, you can't fault either one. They're an excellent, excellent thing. Differences. Handles. The handle on the Benchmade, it is a material called Norol GTX, which is a resin. You can have a quick look at that on the net if you wish to. The handle is very well designed. A little bit of texturing on here. I really like these cutouts here. If you're doing a bit of side cutting or whatever you need to, get your thumb in there, gives you great control. Of course you can see there those double choils. Very nice. Jimping up here on this little bit of a thumb ramp. You lock in very nicely. Quite a small handle. If you've got a larger handle like mine, you're going to use every bit of real estate there, but it's comfortable and it's very nice and usable. Nothing not to like about that handle. On the Ontario, canvas micarta handle. Lovely material, and again we've got a little bit of jimping up on here, functional jimping, no thumb ramp, but that's okay, that works. We can grip it here, or if we need a little bit more room or we want to choke up on the blade, there's a choil here which will do you nice for more detailed work. Again, a small handle as you'd expect, and slight little pommel on the back there. I've got a little bit of cord on there for a bit more grip on the knife. Comfortable handle. Both handles, or both knives I should say, are of course full tang, and the metal is exposed right throughout on each one. So the handle is just bolted on, the slab's bolted on the side. As mentioned, both are drop point. Very, very different blade shapes. And again, blade shape I suppose is a personal preference. The Benchmade is a lovely blade shape. Very, very attractive. It's got a false edge a little bit up the top, drops away nicely. It's a classy looking thing, there's no two ways about it. This is the classic and very well known rat shaped blade. Extremely functional, just an all-round good blade. There's not too much that people don't really know about that, so we won't cover it. The other distance with blades on these knives, as well as the shape, is the thickness. The thickness on the Benchmade is 0.115 of an inch. Which we'll just pull that into shot. The Ontario on the right, as you can see there visually, is a little bit thicker, and it comes in at 0.125 of an inch. So it's going to be a little bit stronger, and as you'll see too, up towards the point, the Benchmade on the left finds a way a little bit more, a little bit of a finer point, and the Ontario tends to maintain its thickness almost right out to the end. So it's going to be a slightly stronger blade in that respect. Brings us to our point, I suppose, of this review, besides the fact that I just like showing off knives and talking about knives, is the use of these knives to try and pick which one you might buy. If you're in the market for a small fixed blade knife, to me with these knives it's hard to pick a winner, if not impossible. It comes down to what you want the knife for. My belief is that the Benchmade is probably more suited to a military, possibly certain law enforcement applications, due to the lightweight, due to the blade design, due to the sheath carry options. It's probably not as good a wilderness or camp knife or general purpose backpacking type blade as the Ontario. I think with the Ontario, the extra blade thickness, the width, the shape of the blade, for my purposes, which is basically out in the bush, it's probably the pick. Having said that, it's really personal preference. You would not go too far wrong with either of these blades. Both excellent quality. As far as value goes, the value is very good. Interestingly enough, and I never thought I'd hear myself say this, but the Ontario is in fact more expensive than the Benchmade. That's right, you heard it here first. Benchmade being cheaper than Ontario on an equivalent knife. Who'd have thought it possible? But it's true. In Australia I paid $125 for the Benchmade, I paid $142 for the Ontario. Now of course you need to shop around, but it would appear that the Benchmade is the slightly cheaper knife. Now that may come down to such things as the canvas micarta handle is probably a little bit more expensive than the Norel, and it may also be something with the sheath, given that the Ontario comes with the tech lock and the other options. But that's an interesting thing, who'd have thought, eh? So, which knife for you? I don't know. It's a personal preference. My view is, as I say, for civilian use, I think the Ontario probably gets the Guernsey. It's probably the slightly better option. But if weight is super critical to you and you want the ultimate and lightweight fixed blade knife, the Benchmade's going to win that hand down. It is an extraordinarily light thing for what it is, and it's a great quality knife. The other thing that may sway your decision is the blade steel, which I forgot to touch on. The Benchmade, as you can see stamped on the side there, is 154 cm, so it's a stainless. So perhaps if you're in coastal areas, maybe you may have some saltwater type use, that might be a better pick than the Ontario, which is the 1095, which of course will rust. It has got a great blade coating on it, by the way. I think the blade coating on the Ontario is far superior to the Benchmade, but again, depends on purpose of use. If you're in a saltwater environment, stainless is probably what you're going to want to go for. So yeah, either way, can't go wrong. If you can't make up your mind, do what I did, buy both. And that's my quick comparison between these two knives. Hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching. Please leave comments. Take care. See you next time. Bye for now.